when you come to Kvarner, treat yourself to an experience you will remember. Enjoy the luxurious ambience. Experience superior service. Indulge in endless pleasures. The pearl of the tourism offer in the pearl of the Adriatic. Liburnia, Hotels and Villas.
Can you feel it in the air? It's time for the most important weekend of the season in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Double points on the line here at the Circuit Zolder, where both championships, all of the championships and subclasses will be decided this week at Zolder. The NASCAR Whelen Euro Series has had a spectacular 2023 season. Some of the best title fights we've seen in recent years. Record attendances at numerous of our facilities, and of course a debut at Oschersleben as well. And now we arrive at the double points season finale, where both EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2 titles are on the line. And we have some very exciting title pictures to break down for you in the next couple of minutes. Here's the point system for the finals as well as regular season. As you can see, the points double. After Oschersleben, we got rid of the worst two scores across the season from each competitor, and now they have the opportunity to score double points, 160 points on the line in terms of the race victories. If you include the bonuses for most positions gained, you could score as many as 176 points this weekend. That means that as well as our proprietary title contenders that we'll talk you through in just a few moments, there is a good chance as well that an outsider could come in, run in with a steel chair and steal it away at the last second. It is possible here with this unique format in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. We are very excited to be here this weekend. It's going to be a very special weekend of action. We've got guest drivers. Ryan Vargas is back again from the United States to race for 3F Racing. We look forward to seeing his progress. We've got a few new and returning faces, but of course we've got the championship contenders as well. It will be the EuroNASCAR Pro drivers that we see out there first for their qualifying session, which of course is directly followed by Super Pole. EuroNASCAR Pro qualifying will roll for 15 minutes in just about 6 minutes' time. The top 10 will advance into the Super Pole session. In the EuroNASCAR Pro Championship, it has been quite the battle up at the sharp end. But Gianmarco Ercoli comes into this title decider with just 4 points over Vittorio Garelli. Lucas Lasser and Anthony Kumpen, the outside shots within the top 4. The two drivers who have been consistent, if not always spectacular, but sometimes consistency is exactly what you need. Liam Hazemans, he's rather whispered his way up into the top 5, only 37 points off the lead. He's also the Junior Trophy points leader as well. Vladimir Osiortis in 6th is his closest competition for that Junior Trophy. Mark Goossens, Julius Del So, Tobias Downhauer and Martin Dubeck, your top 10 in the championship, are Meta leading the Challenger Trophy points, and also this weekend dipping his toe into EuroNASCAR 2 as well. So a very exciting weekend in prospect here for Gianmarco Ercoli. It has been a spectacular season, 3 wins, 4 pole positions so far this season. And while this weekend is in many ways about all-out explosiveness, victories are hugely important in this format. It does tell a bit of a tale, the trophy, or rather the standings in EuroNASCAR Pro. Only 4 drivers this season have scored 8 top 10s, and those are the top 4 in the point standings as well. Consistency, making it to the line and getting there at the sharp end of the order is so important in this and any form of motor racing. The only 2 drivers to have scored 8 top 5s this year are the top 2 in the standings, Gianmarco Ercoli and Vittorio Garelli.
familiar soundtrack in the background here. We will always love coming to the circuit Zolder. And on this day, I see clearly that it's going to be a challenging qualifying session. We had some rain overnight. It's clearly not wet out there. However, it has been declared wet as a session. I'm expecting most of the drivers to be out there on wet tyres, but we're going to have to keep an eye on that situation because, as you can see, there is a drying line around most of this circuit. So even though there is moisture on the ground, then I don't know. I think someone's going to go for slicks in this session. I have to believe someone's going to be bold enough. We mentioned some guest drivers. We do have some interesting additions to the entry list for this weekend. But first, let's take a look at the circuit itself. This is the iconic circuit Zolder, a venue that, of course, held the Belgian Grand Prix for many years and still holds some of the major events in motorsport. The Zolder 24 Hours, an annual tradition that a few of our drivers tend to partake in every season. You've got 11 corners officially on the lap. And you see there a number of chicanes, a number of deep braking zones. This circuit is one where overtaking is certainly very possible. Action-packed races, certainly very possible. In fact, let's say probable. And we are very much looking forward to seeing what this race will be like. I will say before we get started that it is already a weekend where we have secured one champion. Huge congratulations to Gordon Barnes, who once again wins the regularity NASCAR format, the EuroNASCAR running the Club Challenge on Fridays, which puts more focus on consistent lap times and outright pace. And Gordon Barnes, a champion there for the third year in a row. Some people on Twitter are calling him the new Jimmy Johnson. Gordon Barnes, always one to keep an eye on in Club Challenge. Of course, he also appeared earlier in the year at Brands Hatch in EuroNASCAR 2. And I suspect he'll be looking at opportunities to maybe go racing on a more regular basis in 2024. Looks as though slick tyres are on quite a few of these cars at the moment. So I think my hunch about slicks is probably correct. It looks as though a number of our drivers are opting to take the slicks. The session has been declared wet, but the weather, or rather the surface, is drying at a significant rate. There you see the number 30 car, the critical path security backed 3F Racing team, the outfit that intends to bring a German team to the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for the first time. And Ryan Vargas following two of the cars from Blake-Molen, Team Blake-Molen, which, of course, this year spearheaded by Vittorio Gorelli, the first season for Vittorio and Blake-Molen as a combination, and they have been hugely successful to this point. The clock has ticked to 0 on the countdown to green. It's about to be 9 o'clock in the morning, or rather 10 o'clock in the morning, local time at the circuit Zolder. This gentleman will step to one side in just a moment, and from there, the 15-minute qualifying session will begin in earnest. I must say, that's a brave man who steps in front of over 20 stock cars on a Saturday morning, but whatever gets your blood pumping. The green flag waves, and we are going racing, and look at that, you can see that the pit lane is certainly a bit slippery, isn't it? 15 minutes of qualifying. Top 10 will advance into the 5-minute Super Pole shootout session. Championship contenders, it's going to be critical that they have a good qualifying. You need every result, every point you can get in order to take a championship in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Anthony Kumpen, who knows this circuit, I would wager, just about better than anybody. He was quicker here yesterday than anyone else in EuroNASCAR Pro. Quickest man in free practice. And he will be looking to continue that form in qualifying. Kumpen is yet to take a victory this season. He's the only driver in the top 5 that hasn't taken a win so far this year. So this is a critical weekend for Kumpen. He's going to take victories anywhere. Let's face it, it's going to be Zolder. This is basically the Kumpen family back garden. I'd wager maybe it's shared between the Kumpen and the Longans equally. But it is a real hotbed for Anthony Kumpen. It's a circuit he has done probably thousands of laps at. In fact, I don't think it's a probability. I think it's a certainty. His laps go well into the thousands. I think the only real question mark is, has it hit 10,000 yet? Certainly he'll be doing a few this weekend. Let's see if any of them are quick enough to take pole position. The likes of Garelli and also Ulysse Delso, lest we forget, will be up there. Ulysse Delso, who only took on a seat in EuroNASCAR Pro season with a new team. Delso, of course, in his last year, I think, is a junior trophy competitor. So we do need to keep an eye on Ulysse Delso, because I'm sure he'd like to go out in junior trophy with a title win. Another one to watch out for in terms of young French drivers is Pro, who, of course, hasn't done the full season in EuroNASCAR Pro. Joined EuroNASCAR Pro at Vallelunga after Gamion. Then took a step aside. Goodness me, that bouncing over the curbs never ceases to hurt my spine. Feeling it out of sympathy for the drivers, but around this circuit, around these two chicanes, the second of which Sebastian Bleekemolen is currently going through there with Ryan Vargas just behind, you really do have to take those curves. There's no way around it. Much like Oschersleben, the chicane there, where you've got to take the curve, it's exactly the same here at Zolder. If you're staying within the white lines at this place, well, you are leaving a couple of seconds on the table. See there the Boulderberg section of the circuit, now the final chicane, the Jackie X box, Jackie X corner. Out onto the main straight goes the 72 of Vittorio Garelli. Garelli is the driver then that sets our benchmark. It's a 147.637 for Garelli. Ryan Vargas with a 149.1. He goes fourth fastest in the critical path security-backed 3F racing machine. Anthony Kumpen's first time actually just behind Vargas, 149.288. You follow Ryan Vargas across social media, and I recommend you do. He's a very good value Twitter or X account. In terms of entertainment, as we see one of the cars off towards the back of shot there, I think that was the 46th car, just having a sideways moment. That's Thomas Crusonis on his first flying lap, giving us all a little bit of cause for concern. But Ryan Vargas has been savouring the thought of maybe driving around in the wet in this EuroNASCAR machine. Of course, the EuroNASCARs, if you're watching for the first time, mechanically near enough identical. The teams, of course, can make changes in terms of setup, but the engine, the chassis, all the same. The best engineers, of course, can always find a way to tune a few more horsepower into an engine with a good rebuild or something like that, but in essence, these cars are identical in spite of their bodywork and their colour schemes. Means it is one of the closest categories in Europe when it comes to competition between teams. Garelli crosses the line again, his second flying lap, 146.601. This is going to be a session where the times keep coming down lap on lap on lap because the conditions are improving constantly. There's Liam Hasemans. He goes second fastest that time, a 147.142 for Hasemans. So Hasemans about half a second off the pace of Garelli, but up to second place. And Hasemans, to be honest with you, we've been talking about the championship top fours, and in each championship, in EuroNASCAR Pro and in EuroNASCAR 2, there is a distinct top four placing for the championship. I personally can't rule out Liam Hasemans in fifth place. He's just 37 points off of the championship lead in EuroNASCAR Pro. He's, of course, leading the junior trophy, and I think that was always his objective for this year, coming into EuroNASCAR Pro for a first full season attempt after he did a majority of last year. Of course, took the title in EuroNASCAR 2, which was his primary campaign. He has a habit of winning it at the death. I call him Hollywood Liam Hasemans, primarily because he stole the championship at the very last opportunity up against Alberto Nasca last year in Croatia. Hadn't led the championship at any point before the final race of the season, and Liam Hasemans managed to take that championship win. If the others falter this weekend and Hasemans has a good weekend, I wouldn't rule out Liam Hasemans being in the title fight at all. One thing that we do need to mention, and there has been a little update to the entry list, so if you have an entry list in front of you, one alteration is the Cal Racing car of Massimilio Lanza. The car is here. It will be driven in EuroNASCAR 2 by Roberto Benedetti. Massimilio Lanza sadly not able to join us. He has some family matters ongoing at the moment, so we want to make sure we send all of our best wishes to Max Lanza, his family, and we hope to see him again in the paddock come at the start of 2024. So thank you for joining us this season, Max. We hope to see you again soon, and best wishes. Shame you couldn't be with us this weekend. We saw Thomas Dąbrowski having a bit of a moment there at turn 1. Some of the painted curves on the exit of these corners are treacherous. Other drivers, meanwhile, are struggling because of the tyres they're on. Vittorio Garelli, we think he was on wet at the start of the session. He is now going on to slick tyres by the sounds of it. So Vittorio Garelli is making the switch to slicks, and we're expecting pretty much everyone to be on slicks by the end of this session. Tobias Downhauer in the 99 promotion car. He is currently the pace setter. He's beaten Garelli's lap time. Not sure what tyres Tobias Downhauer is on right now, but we have a heavy suspicion that Garelli is about to come back out on slick tyres. Keep an eye on that. Now, though, Downhauer, the only driver to go sub 146, a 145.948. That's a very impressive benchmark. But again, I do think this is a session that is going to get quicker and quicker until the very end. I wouldn't want to forecast who's going to be in the top 10. You just saw the 24 car into the pits. Liam Hasemans, Anthony Kumpen has come in to the pit lane then. And Kumpen, oh, Dąbrowski has some damage there, doesn't he? Getting word from the media centre that Kumpen was on the wets, so Kumpen looks to be switching to slicks as well. Vittorio Garelli has just headed back out onto the circuit. Five minutes of this session remain. The top 10 will go through to Superpole. Good to see Yevgen Sokolovsky back with us this weekend. He's currently on the fringes of the top 10 and 11th place, returning to the seat of the number 48 car. We've also got a debut within EuroNASCAR Pro for Mario Ercoli, who joined us for the first time in EuroNASCAR 2. Last time I talked for Oschersleben, the 16-year-old making his debut in EuroNASCAR Pro. If you're spotting two Ercolis on the graphics on the side of your screen, that is with good reason. But look how low the first of the Urkeles is. Gianmarco Urkeli, driver who is fighting for and leading the championship. Currently, as it stands, wouldn't be in the top 10 shootout. Paul Giffreau, meanwhile, he would be. He's just on second fastest. Three minutes and 55 seconds left in this session. There is Paul Giffreau, second fastest right now. Giffreau, who has really turned the spotlight on himself this year, came into RDV competition for the EuroNASCAR 2 campaign, has subsequently inherited the EuroNASCAR Pro seat as well. So far this year in EuroNASCAR Pro, he has scored 2 race victories and has been in the top 5 on 5 occasions. We saw damage on Thomas Dombrowski's 66 car, and there's now an investigation ongoing for an incident in turn 6 between Dombrowski and Thomas Duffel. So I wonder if that might be a clue as to what happened there. Giorgio Maggi having a bit of an anonymous session down in 20th. Gianmarco Urkeli, though, has just set the timing screen alight. We just saw him going through the first couple of corners. His previous lap, a 1:44.594. Gianmarco Urkeli goes top, and he's 1.4 seconds faster than anybody else out there. Just ahead of him, as you can see, is the number 72 car. Of course, Vittorio Garelli, we believe he switched onto slick tyres. And of course, those that have been on slicks for the entire session have the advantage of knowledge. They've had the track developing underneath them. They know where the slicks work and where they don't, where to be careful and where to push. Those that switch mid-session maybe don't have quite as much information, not quite as much right foot data. But keep an eye on Urkeli. Let's see if he can improve his time again. They've got some traffic up ahead in the form of Martin Dubeck. Garelli, you can see visibly being closed in on here by Gianmarco Urkeli. I think Garelli's still trying to get up to speed, but he's running out of time to do so. 1 minute and 44 left on the clock. Everyone who crosses the line now will start their final flying lap. And currently no one has gone quicker than Gianmarco Urkeli. Urkeli and Garelli, our championship top 2, are crossing the line as we speak. Garelli with his first flying lap on slick tyres. I don't think it's going to be a particular improvement, unfortunately. Garelli still down in 8th place, but he'll make the top 10 shootout as it stands. In fact, he's already down to 9th place, so he really is on uncertain turf at the moment. Paul Giffreau, he goes second fastest. Mark Goosens has gone top, so Gianmarco Urkeli bested by not one but 2 drivers. Mark Goosens has gone top on a 1:43.823. Another driver who has probably exceeded the number of laps he's done of the earth with his laps at Zolder. A 1:43.823. There is Goosens. He's top at the moment. Still in mathematical contention for a championship, as so many are. However, he's not a championship favourite, but wouldn't he like to conclude his season here on home turf with a good result? He's currently on pole, but that time is going to all down, down and down again. If anything, we just need to look at the main straight for the next few moments, because I imagine we're going to have all manner of lap time improvements. The clock is about to strike 0 on this session. Mark Goosens is currently top on a 1:43.823. Some surprises. Anthony Kumpen currently not set to make it into the session, but he gets up to 7th place. Anthony Kumpen up to 7th place. He might be safe now for the Super Pole. Vittorio Garelli currently only registered 11th. What can Garelli do? Garelli goes 3rd fastest. Garelli is safe for Super Pole. Mark Goosens comes into the pit lane. Paul Giffreau heads to the start-finish line now. Currently 5th fastest. He should be safe for Super Pole.
He cements that by going top, a 1:42.123, 1.7 seconds faster than anybody else out there. Paul Giffreau goes top. Is there anyone else left to score a lap time that we could expect to improve? Well, yes, Ryan Vargas is out there. Vladimir Osiortsis, who's already in 7th place. He's about to cross the line. Let's see what he can do on this final flying lap. He crosses the line to go second fastest. Siortsis goes second fastest, a 1:43.604, so he will be safe for Superpole. Tobias Downhauer is 10th. Anthony Kumpen is 11th. So Anthony Kumpen has been demoted to 11th place. He will not make it into Superpole. The other 3 title contenders are all in Superpole. Vittorio Gorelli is there. Gianmarco Ercoli is there. Lucas Lasser is there, but unfortunately Anthony Kumpen is going to be starting the EuroNASCAR Pro race from 11th on the grid. That's going to be a lot of work for the Belgian to do. Our top 10 then who will go through to Superpole: Paul Giffreau, Vladimir Osiortsis, Mark Goossens, Lucas Lasser. He's the fastest of the primary title contenders. Martin Dubek, Vittorio Gorelli, Gianmarco Ercoli, Giorgio Maggi, Dario Casso. That's quite a surprise. Dario in the top 10. And Tobias Downhauer, who, of course, netted that EuroNASCAR Pro victory on home turf at Offisleben just a few weeks ago. From 11th down, we have the grid provisionally locked in there. Anthony Kumpen will be starting from 11th place. Yillis Delso to start from 12th. Thomas Chrysonis, 13th fastest. Sebastian Blakemolen, he's usually a top 10 regular, but he'll be starting from 14th. Ryan Vargas, who was top 10 all the time in Oschersleben, he's only starting from 15th, but we expect him to be able to work his way up in race conditions. Thomas Toffel, Fabrizio Armetta in 16th and 17th. Liam Hazemans only 18th. Hazemans will be very disappointed with that. Thomas Dombrowski 19th. Yevgen Sokolovsky in 20th. Romagnoli, Ercoli and Neo Lambert rounding out the 23. I don't think Neo Lambert actually got a lap in as well, so there's a question mark there regarding the number 40. On the Speedhouse team. Well, drama already in this season deciding weekend. Anthony Kumpen outside of the top 10. By no means is that the end of the world. He could, of course, advance through the order and take the bonus points for most overtakes in a race from 11th on the grid. However, in general, it's not great as a start to his weekend to not be in Superpole. By no means is his title campaign over. He's 4th in the championship and in a strong position, but he's going to have to work when we go racing later on. Superpole is in just a couple of minutes, and we'll see who can take pole position. Green flag expected in less than 2 minutes for the 5 minutes of Superpole. I think a couple of drivers may risk not getting 2 laps in if they don't hurry. Certainly those who will be starting at the front of the queue, Paul Giffreau, Vladimir Osiortsis, they should get 2 flying laps in. If they really push it, they might even get 3. But for the guys starting further back, Downhauer and Casso, it could be a little bit sketchy as to how many laps they get.
Okay, so less than a minute until the green flag is waved once again. 5 minutes of Super Pole awaiting our drivers. And a few very interesting names up there. Dario Casso, certainly not a top 10 regular this season. Mark Goosens, with the pace he was showing in that quali session, wouldn't it be amazing to see the Goose on the front row? It's certainly possible, particularly as a venue he knows so well. But the pace at the end of the session there, the rapid shuffle in that session, I suspect will cross over to this Super Pole. The track is still improving and drying all the time. A good point from Razor of the EuroNASCAR media team. He says that Kumpen, of course, switched to slicks too late at Most earlier in the season, and that cost him a strong result in Most Race 2. So maybe just being a little bit too cautious in regards to the wet to slick swap in these drying conditions on more than one occasion this year. But now the green flag is waved and the clock starts ticking for the top 10 Super Pole session. New drivers out late, that could be costly. It was Giorgio Maggi and Gianmarco Ercoli. Paul Giffreau leading them away then. Vladimir Ostiortis, Mark Goosens, and there is Lucas Lasser just behind. Starting at the front. Certainly the ideal situation for those in title fights. Siortis, of course, with Liam Hazemans all the way down in 18th. This is a golden opportunity for Vladimir Siortis in regard to the junior trophy. If Siortis can nail himself to the front couple of rows of the grid, that would do him a number of favours in his pursuit of junior trophy on a weekend where, of course, he will also be fighting for EuroNASCAR 2 championship honours. Paul Giffreau thunders across the line now to break the lead on his flying lap. He crosses the line with 3 minutes 20 left to go, aka exactly twice 1 minute 40. If he really pushes and if the weather conditions have improved, he might get 3 flying laps. However, I think he would be the only driver to do so. It depends though on going sub 1 minute 40, which I'm not sure they're going to do, even though the conditions are improving. If anyone does get 3 flying laps, it will be Giffreau. He's on the first flyer right now. And just getting a bulletin through from race control, they're going to make sure everyone gets the same number of flying laps. That is an intelligent decision from race control. So the checkered flag will wave, I imagine, at the end of the second flying lap for everybody, which is the wisest move. Sometimes with these short, sharp timed formats, you do end up with drivers getting more flyers than others, but they've made sure everyone is going to get the same number of flying laps. I imagine it will be 2 for everyone, and that is the wisest decision. Rounding turn 9 is Paul Giffreau then. Goes through the kink, the Jochen Rindt corner towards Jackie Ickx, the final turn, the Jackie Ickx box. 1 minute and 50 left on the clock. What will be the first time registered by Paul Giffreau? Will he be the one to set the benchmark, or will someone from further back in the queue be the fastest at the end of the first flyers? It's a 1:41.1 for Paul Giffreau. Very, very good time from Giffreau. Goosens also in the 41s, a 1 minute 41.382. Times are still updating at the moment. Not everybody through just yet. Checker flag will wave on Paul Giuffreau this time by, but for now, he is the fastest of anybody. I'm sure a few drivers are going to open up the taps and find that little bit more in the second flying lap. So let's see if Giuffreau is one of them. Gianmarco Ercoli goes third fastest, so 1:41.659, just 0.02 of a second quicker than Vittorio Garelli. That would be an impressive second row. The two primary championship contenders on the second row of the grid would certainly make things interesting, especially with two fighters like Giuffreau and Jusens just ahead. Giorgio Maggi fifth fastest. He would so love a podium this weekend after what has been a difficult season for he and Race Art Technology. Clock is ticking to 0. We expect the flag to wave this time. I don't think Giuffreau would get there before the clock strikes 0 anyway. So this should be his final flyer. Giuffreau out of the last corner. Clock hits 0. He crosses the line. And what is the lap time? It's a 1:40.053. Paul Giuffreau was hustling that car around the circuit. He goes top. Vladimir Osiortzis, second fastest, a 1:41.227. Let's take a look at the first at the main straight again, because more cars are coming across the line. Gianmarco Ercoli, Vittorio Garelli coming across the line as we speak. Slowing is Dario Casso. So Casso won't get in his second flying lap. Gianmarco Ercoli, a 1:40.6, and Giorgio Maggi, a 1:40.4. Giorgio Maggi goes second fastest in the 18. Gianmarco Ercoli and Vittorio Garelli will share the second row of the grid. Gianmarco Ercoli with a 1:40.655. Vittorio Garelli with a 1:40.808. Vladimir Osiortzis, a 1:41.227 will be good enough for him to net 5th place in the number 5 car. Bearing in mind his closest junior trophy combatant in the championship standings, Liam Hazeman's down in 18th place. Hazeman's the current junior trophy points leader with just 10 points over Vladimir Osiortzis. Osiortzis could well close, if not supersede, the young Dutchman in the race later on. Douwenhauer, Mark Jusens, Lubeck, Leclerc and Casso rounding out the rest of the top 10. Tobias Douwenhauer with some battle scars. Still 6th fastest for the promotion team, very good. Or rather 7th fastest, I should say. I think we may have just had... Lucas Leclerc, I think, was late to his last lap time, because Leclerc has just gone 3rd fastest on my screen. So that was registered late, or he was one of the last across the line. But nonetheless, Leclerc goes 3rd, a 1:40.651 for Lucas Leclerc, besting a time by just 0.004 of a second. It seems everybody has had 3 flying laps, have they? As a few more times have improved. Paul Giuffreau, a 1:39.080. I think that was on a 3rd flying lap, so I don't know if everyone's had 2 or 3 flyers. I think everyone's had 2. But nonetheless, Paul Giuffreau... Someone's collected some promotion. I see what's happened. Tobias Douwenhauer has, I think, found a tyre stack, evidenced by the red streaks on that otherwise white piece of bodywork. So that's what happened to Douwenhauer. But still, he goes 7th.
Dario Casso, unfortunately, not under his own power, but Paul Giuffreau will be starting from pole in EuroNASCAR Pro. Of course, he's fighting for the title in EuroNASCAR 2. But Paul Giuffreau's EuroNASCAR Pro ascendancy continues in earnest as well. Giuffreau just heading down the pit lane now. Giorgio Maggi second, Lucas Lasser third, and Gianmarco Ercoli fourth. Vittorio Gorelli, Vladimiros Tsiotsis, Tobias Downhauer, Mark Goosens, Martin Dubek, and Dario Casso filling out the top 10. So Lasser, critically, the fastest of the championship four, the main four contenders in the title race. Gianmarco Ercoli in fourth ahead of Vittorio Gorelli in fifth. For just the second time in EuroNASCAR Pro, Paul Giuffreau will be our pole sitter. Bear in mind he's done, what, 4 races, 4 qualifying sessions? He has had quite the run so far. He and RDV competition, it seems they have found a partnership that works. We'll see if he can translate that into more race victories. The only reason I think Paul Giuffreau isn't a title contender in EuroNASCAR Pro is because he hasn't done the full season. He is, of course, a title contender in EuroNASCAR 2, and we expect to see him back out there in a few seconds. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to keep with our regular tradition of interviewing the pole sitter just after he's out of the car, because Paul Giuffreau has to stay in the car, because he, of course, is in the next session. He will be in the EuroNASCAR 2 qualifying, which will come out onto the circuit in just a few moments' time. No shootout in this one, no super pole. This is just a 20-minute qualifying session. And we talk about drivers' championships. Let's briefly talk about the teams' championship as well, because RDV competition are pretty well placed in the teams' championship. The number 3 is only 8 points behind the team championship leader, the number 54 Cal Racing car. And so Paul Giuffreau and the RDV competition guys are definitely in contention for that team's championship. So I have to keep an eye on that through the weekend as well. Of course, they have been netting themselves a few fastest team awards recently. We now shift focus, though, to EuroNASCAR 2. $292 points is the figure at the top of the championship standings, and that belongs to Vladimiros Tsiotsis, who, in spite of a difficult weekend at Oschersleben, remains our championship leader. Of course, the worst 2 scores from each car dropped after Oschersleben, and Tsiotsis leads the EuroNASCAR 2 championship by just 3 points over Alberto Nasca, who came into the season finale last year as EuroNASCAR 2 championship leader. He comes in second place this weekend, but he will be looking to net himself the championship that he lost at the last hurdle in 2022. Paul Giuffreau is just 4 points off the championship lead, 3 cars within 4 points in the lead of the championship, and Jill Linster with what you could describe as an outsider's chance, 28 points off the lead on 264 for the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport crew. One driver who had a very good time, of course, at Oschersleben was Patrick Schauber, who secured a fabulous victory for he and Double V Racing. He currently sits 5th in the EuroNASCAR 2 championship standings as well, so would love to solidify that top 5 in the championship here today and indeed on Sunday, the Zolder EuroNASCAR finals weekend. Of course, the 2024 calendar, provisional calendar, was published just a couple of days ago. Andre Viegold walking down the pit lane with purpose, with a pole award in hand. Yes, Andre, we can see you. Forward-facing camera. Yes, hello. Andre is on it. Look at him. Even when he's not on the air, he's got 8 different jobs to do. We do love to see Andre enjoying himself in the paddock, and I understand he's managed to politic his way to a studio setup this weekend. He was told that it might rain over the weekend, but he'd be doing interviews anyway. He said, "That doesn't work for me, brother," and managed to get himself a studio. So we'll be seeing him with some of the drivers in the studio area a little later on in the day. Now we await EuroNASCAR 2 qualifying in just a few minutes' time. Vladimir Siortsis and Paul Dufresne, of course, have just been out there on the circuit, whereas the rest of the top 5 in the championship, Nasker, Linster, Schauber, have not. And the track is still drying and drying and drying, so perhaps those who are out there in the last 2 sessions for EuroNASCAR Pro will be at something of an advantage. Double V Racing spotter there, a few spotters up on top of the garage buildings, slotting into the car meanwhile. The driver of the number 46, that's Nicholas Strickler, getting into the 46 car. Didn't have the best of weekends at Oschersleben and would like to round out his season on a high here at Zolder. "45 seconds until the green." So the cars will soon roll down and wait in something like patient order. The EuroNASCAR 2 qualifying session will begin in just a few moments. Here come the cars out onto the track. There is the number 48, Jack Davidson, I think. Sim Thunder, I think that might be a new sponsor for Davidson, so he's picking up some sponsorship across the season. Nice to see some more sim representation on his car as well. Already, of course, with the primary sponsor of GT Omega. So Jack Davidson repping the sim racing world, and certainly quite a few sims with Zolder recreated virtually. So I'm sure he's been doing some laps and getting his eye in. As with last time, it is the ever-eager Team Blakemolen guys at the front of the pack as the green flag waves. 20 minutes of qualifying for EuroNASCAR 2. I would think that everybody is on slicks. I would think that those were out there in EuroNASCAR Pro will have an early advantage. I think it will be all but dry everywhere around the circuit, except for maybe a couple of the parts offline and under tree cover. I think it will almost be fully dry by the end of this session. I think it's another session where the times are going to free fall in the early minutes. It'll be a very exciting 20 minutes, and of course the championship at play. Again, there's a distinct championship top 4 in EuroNASCAR 2. a very distinct top three as well, with Siortsis, NASCAR and Jufro separated by just 4 points. This championship leader would dearly love to be at the sharp end for the start of this race. But let's see who's got the pace here at Zolder. Paul Jufro, we know he has the pace. He's already got 1 pole award waiting for him. Did he get a second before the end of the morning? There you see 18 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. 20-minute session with no Super Pole attached, so this is just a normal qualifying. Is Jill Linster in the 50 car. He's 4th in the championship, 28 points off. He needs a good weekend. He needs an explosive weekend, and that's not something he's had much of this year. He is known now as Mr. 4th place. He has not had a win so far this year. He's been in the top 5 on 8 occasions. He's been in the top 10 on 9 occasions, but he's never been a winner. Jill Linster needs wins. He needs results this weekend. He needs maybe the odd misfortune for the championship top 3, Siortsis, NASCAR and Jufro, in order to be within a bid of the championship. Can he achieve that here today? Can he start the weekend off right with a pole position? Instead, heading down towards the Boulderberg corner at the moment. While up and over the crest goes the number 48 of Jack Davidson. There's Thomas Bell. Bell, who to net a good result here at the end of what has been his debut season. Currently sits in the top 5 in the rookie trophy standings, 15th overall in the EuroNASCAR 2 as well. A really good weekend, actually. Atosha Slaben, of course, was on the overall podium there. Great little video with Lucas Lasserre that's available on the EuroNASCAR YouTube channel, talking about title-winning weekends and such. And Lucas Lasserre said explicitly that he didn't like weekends, or he didn't like conditions where it was half and half between wet and slick, but that's exactly what he was in earlier on, and he had a very good qualifying session. So we'll have to see how Thomas DeFell now fares in quali. No surprises as to who has set the benchmark. It's a 142.984 early on for Paul Jufro. He will be on slicks, just as I would think everybody is at this stage. So one of the Speedhouse cars going into the pit lane there. There are the 2 Victor Motorsport entries, the number 9 of Mario Ercoli, the number 8 of Paolo Valeri. Good to see Valeri's car is out there, because of course it stopped in the hands of Dario Casso in the Super Pole. Marco Stipp Motorsports number 46 car there, in the hands of Nicholas Strickler, down 19th at the moment, but he'll be getting quicker and quicker. There's a name we haven't seen top in quali before, Melvin de Groot. I certainly don't remember seeing him on top of a timing screen in quali, but he's there at the moment, a 142.031 for Melvin de Groot. Here comes Patrick Schauber for Double V Racing. What can he do? Crosses the line and goes the 7th fastest. That wasn't much of a flying lap. I think he may have been held up somewhere or made a bit of an error because that time was not representative. But Alberto Nasca, he's just set his first representative time and it's taken him to the top. Alberto Nasca with a 1:51.232, the number 54 Cal Racing car to the fore. Eighth of a second faster than De Groot then was Alberto Nasca. You can see so many drivers pushing and hustling for track space. There is Nasca going over the crest. Following the first of the two chicanes, the Klein chicane. Of course, the second chicane is the Villeneuve chicane. There's the 69 car across the line again in the hands of Melvin De Groot. What kind of time does he put in on this occasion? Remains second fastest, but does improve, a 1:41.813. NASCAR currently then setting the benchmark, but we have seen Paul Giffreau go quicker than a 1:41 already today. Giffreau right on cue. Takes the second fastest time, a 1:41.6, but we know he can do better. There's Nasca across the line. He's the first driver to go sub 1:40 in this EuroNASCAR 2 session, a 1:39.612, and Claudio Remeggio Capelli going second fastest. That shouldn't be a surprise. I didn't think about this, I must admit, but Claudio Remeggio Capelli, always quick. Wet conditions. We've seen it in Euro Legend, we've seen it in EuroNASCAR too. Always quick is Claudio Remeggio Capelli. There is the 18 car, just behind Vladimir Siortsev. 11 minutes and 25 seconds of this session left to run then. Oh, goodness me. A little bit of traffic at the Villeneuve chicane. That was the 64 car having a little bit of a moment there. That's one of the Speedhouse cars, of course. It's Eric Quintal at the wheel in EuroNASCAR 2. Top five at the moment: Nasca, Capelli, Jill Linster, Vladimir Stiortzis and Paul Giffreau. So the top four in the championship within the top five in quali, and quite a few drivers rolling into pit lane here. Now I would think that everybody came onto this session on slick tyres, surely. So maybe just a few tyre pressure adjustments or something like that. There's the 54 car in the hands, the 34 car in the hands of Thomas Tuffel. He's currently outside the top 10 in 12th place. Nine minutes and 55 seconds left on the clock. There is Siortzis, and he's towing Thomas Dombrovski. Dombrovski looking to maybe learn some lines. Not that he's been slow at all this season. He's been very quick in his own right, but I imagine if you're going to follow anyone, Vladimir Siortzis, one of the first candidates you'd pick. Siortzis, the speedy Cypriot. Maybe tripped on his own cape a little bit last time out was Oschersleben, but he'll be looking to right those wrongs here today at Zolder. Cars that were in the pits are now coming back out. That was Capelli following Alberto Nasca back out onto the circuit. It's the other race car of Thomas Tuchel. NASCAR still fastest then at the moment. Only 3 drivers have gone sub 140. NASCAR, Capelli and Vladimiros Siotzis. There is the 65 car of Riccardo Romagnoli. Two cars, of course, for the Club Motorsport crew, the other being the 55. Romagnoli currently 12th in the standings. Schauber just behind him. Looks like Schauber's on a quick lap at the moment. Where is Schauber right now? Only 14th, so certainly Patrick Schauber has some more time to find. He's, I think, being slightly held up at the moment, with all due respect to Romagnoli. Seven and a half minutes left on the clock then. And still Alberto Nasca currently has the edge. There is the 54 of NASCAR. NASCAR, of course, on his first flying lap after a visit to the pit lane. So let's see if he can improve. .139.612 is the benchmark that he has set for the field, but I think that that's going to fall. Given the circuit is now, well, as you can see, not fully dry, but half of the way there. I think we're going to see quicker times before the end. Certainly, I think Paul Dufresne, who's just on an out lap now after a visit to the pit lane. I think there's more to come from Paul. There's the 99 car bearing its scars from EuroNASCAR Pro. Promotion car with Eric De Donker returning at the wheel. Great to see Eric back with us. I think the first time in the 2020s, actually. I think we go back to 2019, potentially. Last time Eric De Donker was racing. Claudio Remeggio Capelli goes top, so Alberto Nasca has improved. The driver following him, Claudio Remeggio Capelli, has gone top, a 138.496 for Capelli. It's a very impressive lap time from Claudio Remeggio Capelli. Feeling the 39 barrier was going to be broken, and it has been now by 2 drivers. Patrick Schauber has also gone quick, third fastest, the 139.545. Although he's immediately, as soon as I say that, Gil Linster crosses the line to go third fastest with a 139.3. So just the 2 Italians have gone to the 138 so far, Capelli and Nasca. Alberto Nasca would love to start this race on pole position.
Of course, he's currently giving a bit of a toe to the man who he's fighting for the pole. Across the line they both go. Does either driver improve? Alberto NASCAR does go marginally quicker, a 1:38.802. Capelli's time was actually a little bit slower. 1:38.496 is still our benchmark. Gil Linster still third fastest with his 39.337. Paul Giffreau is winding up the taps as well. He's just gone fifth fastest, a 1:39.561. 3 minutes left of this session, and I would not place my bets on that front row staying as it is. Claudio Remigio Capelli could be on for a pole position here. Melvin de Groot goes third fastest. Melvin likes these conditions. Third fastest at the moment then for Melvin de Groot in the 69 car. There is Roberto Benedetti, currently only 15th fastest. And, well, that's not how you take that chicane. Cuts the course there. Alberto NASCAR has gone top, a 1:38.291 from NASCAR, and Paul Giffreau has gone second fastest, a 1:38.322. Claudio Remigio Capelli has dropped off the back of this man NASCAR. Paul Giffreau onto the front row of the grid, so two of the championship contenders now on the front row, and the next of the championship contenders is Vladimir Osiortis down in 7th. Well, this could be a big net win for NASCAR and Giffreau. Gil Linster is in 6th place, so of the championship top 4, at least there is another one in the first 3 rows, but nonetheless, NASCAR and Giffreau being at the front would be huge. More cars into the pit lane, only 1 minute and 5 left to go, so I think those that are going into the pits are going in to stay there. Alberto NASCAR should be approaching the start-finish line now. There he is. I think he's actually just tucking in behind Claudio Remigio Capelli. There's Gil Linster across the line. What can Linster do? Linster's lap time appear to have been an improvement. I think a few drivers there were easing off on that lap in order to go for one last flyer. There is Alberto NASCAR. He's got Claudio. Oh, that's not a good start to the lap. That will end the lap for Alberto NASCAR. Surely that won't be an improvement after that run wide going out of turn 1. So the question is now, can Alberto NASCAR's time remain on top? He's got 15 seconds left. He won't get another flying lap. A 1:38.291, the current benchmark from Alberto NASCAR, but we've already seen him throw away his last flying lap. What about everybody else, though? Paul Giffreau has just started to fly it. Claudio Remigio Capelli is halfway around the circuit. Melvin de Groot, who has been exceptionally fast this morning, is currently 5th fastest. And he is just coming up to the last 2 turns now. So if we get a look at the main straight, we'll start to see the fast laps ending. Melvin de Groot, chief among them. Here's Paul Giffreau. He's just a few hundredths of a second off of Alberto NASCAR, of course. So let's see if Giffreau can net this lap together. It's looked strong, it's looked quick so far.
De Groot has crossed the line to go 5th fastest. Jill Linster heading to the line. Patrick Schauber has come to a halt on the back straight. So Patrick Schauber will not improve. He's down in 8th place. Across the line comes Claudio Remeggio Capelli, and he goes top. Capelli on a 1:38.203. Could that be pole position? Here comes Giffro. Coming across the line now, Paul Giffro. Let's see what kind of time he puts in. 38.2 to beat. He's done it. A 1:38.078 for Paul Giffro. It may not be pole position just yet, because here comes Vladimiros Siortsis. I worry that Siortsis may have been held up by yellow flags for Patrick Schauber. But let's wait and see. Indeed, I think Siortsis was held up. Thomas Tefel, we believe, may have gone spinning. Oh, no. What's happened there? That's the 56 car, the Cal Racing entry of Sven van Leer. Now, what happened there? Did he... He's hit both corners massively. You see the front and the rear of that car badly dented in. Can see Sven moving in the cockpit, we believe, but that looks major right at the end of quali. Sure enough, he takes down the window net to Sven van Leer. But you can see both the front and the rear of that car stoved in. Thankfully, Sven gets out of the car under his own steam, but that is going to be a lot of work for Cal Racing. And while we can only really see the left side of the car, to me, the right front looks particularly bad. I just wonder how that chassis is. And from there, I wonder if Mark Goossens is going to be able to take the start. The medical team checking over Sven van Leer, who I think gestures a bit to his left leg, but he's walking gingerly, but he's walking, and that is huge. It was very close to Patrick Schauber's stranded car, so I was worried that initially that potentially Sven van Leer had found the double V27, but that doesn't appear to be the case. It didn't look as if Schauber's car had any additional damage, but perhaps Sven collided with someone trying to get around the stranded 27. It's hard to say, but the net result is a very damaging or very damaged Cal Racing 56 car. Rick Quintal out of the 64 machine. But despite that dramatic end to qualifying, Paul Giffro currently set for pole position. Paul Giffro with a 1:38.078. He has gone top in qualifying. Claudio Remeggio Capelli, second fastest. Alberto Nasca, third, ahead of Jill Linster. Thomas Dombrowski, the last of the drivers to get into the 1:38s in the 66 car. So there was Dombrowski. And 5th place for him, first of the rookies. That's very good going from Thomas Dombrowski. Melvin de Groot, 6th. Vladimir Siortsis, only 7th. I think he would have expected a bit more. Patrick Schauber, 8th fastest. Hopefully his car is okay. Thomas Tefel and Fabrizio Armetta, our top 10. Jack Davidson and Martin Dubeck, 11th and 12th. Roberto Benedetti in 13th. Mikael Blekemolen in 14th. Riccardo Romagnoli in 15th. Mario Ercoli, 16th. Sven van Leer and the very damaged 56 car, 17th. And now we get a look at the right side of that car. And yeah, that looks about as second-hand as I thought. hope that Cal Racing can get that car back out there. 18th place, Eric Dodonka. 19th place, Federico Monti. And 20th for Paolo Valeri. Nicholas Strickler, 21st. Matthias Hauer in 22nd, sorry. Don't know where I got that from. Eric Quintel in 23rd. And Ariana Casoli in 24th. We understand that the 27 car of Patrick Schauber is undamaged, so it doesn't seem as though Sven van Leer collided with that car in the process of his big incident. In that case, with where the car was resting, I have to assume that maybe he just got a wheel on the gravel or something coming out of turn 4, the Lucien Bianchi box, and ended up tagging both the front and the rear of the car. That is big damage, though. I think it went in front end first, and, well, happy to see the car on the flatbed and now being removed, and happier still to see that Sven van Leer could walk away. But I think the big question mark now, especially for the home fans here in Belgium, is whether Mark Goossens will be able to take the start. And again, looking at the condition of that car, you can say for certain that Cal Racing have quite the task on their hands. I'm sure that any neighbouring teams will help the Cal Racing crew if they possibly can. Some of the crews from some of the support grid making their way into the pit lane, and a few of the drivers only just now able to make it back to the paddock, including this man Paul Giffreau, who is now coming in on his in-lap at long last. We will hopefully hear from Paul Giffreau before the end of this broadcast. I think we might have a couple of more drivers heading down to visit Andre Viegold in his new studio setup in the next few moments. Very excited to see this studio that Andre Viegold has managed to net for himself. We will hear from couple of drivers potentially before the end. We'll hopefully hear from Paul Giffreau, but as you can see, he's only just now circulating back to pit lane. About halfway around the lap at the moment, so he'll be out of the car soon, and I'm sure he'll be sent down towards Andre Viegold's interview bunker. There's Patrick Schauber being towed back, and that car looks to be in fine fettle, so doesn't look like it was hit at all by the 56. Hopefully whatever issue caused him to stop will be an easy fix for Double V Racing before the EuroNASCAR 2 race later on this afternoon. And there is Andre Viegold with Alberto Nasca. So let's have a chat to Alberto.
Thank you so much, Adam. Yeah, my studio is just the wall behind me, so when it's raining, I'm still covered in rain. So I have Alberto Nasca next to me. It was a really, really close qualifying session with a really bad ending for one of your teammates. We saw Sven's cars passing by in the pit lane. It was really destroyed, but I saw he climbed out of the car. He seems to be okay. But now to your qualifying. How happy are you?
I'm not happy because, you know, the most important thing today was to do the quality, was to do the pole position. We didn't make it. It's the same problem. I mean, people racing in the Pro and in the 2 are doing twice the kilometers, so if they are already fast, they will be even faster. And I do my best. My best wasn't enough today. We also had a stupid issue during the qualifying. As soon as I got out of the pit lane, at the first very hard braking, I got the throttle stuck at 100%. So, you know, in that moment, if you keep accelerating and braking, I locked up the front wheels and probably I destroyed one wheel. And that didn't help the qualifying. That's it. The race is another thing. The bad luck always was on my side. Sometimes I hope it be also on the other side. I mean, I just have to do my best, and we will see.
But we saw not only the EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2 drivers who pulled double duties in front, we also saw a lot of experienced drivers in front. Claudio Capelli, Melvin de Groot. Is this a key factor at a track like Circuit Zolder?
I mean, I think that the secret of Claudio is that he's very fast on the wet conditions and also in semi-wet conditions, because he races with the Volkswagen Fan Cup. He always does the 25 hours of Spa, and it always rains there, so you get used to these horrible conditions. And I know he flies in this condition, and he proved it today. So he's my friend. I will go to talk to him before the race. Let's see what happens. No, really, everybody races to win, and I really needed somebody between me and Jufro to, you know, to make everything spicier, because when it's just one versus one, you know, the results is much easier to predict. But when there are many other drivers in the middle, anything can happen. So I know Claudio is great at starts. I know Claudio is great at fighting. So really, it's going to be a nice ending.
All right, thank you so much. Grazie mille, congratulations, and we go back to Adam.
Apologies, Andre. I was sold a studio, but that does look very good. We've got the sponsor banners there. Andre in a nice branded interview area for this weekend. I thought he might have been given the luxury of a roof, but we're still not quite there yet. Paul Giffro, however, is with Andre now. Got some pole awards to give the man, haven't you?
Yes, 2 for 1 it is here today for Paul Giffro. EuroNASCAR Pro, EuroNASCAR 2 pole positions. How was it out there?
Really good. The setup of the car is perfect when the track is a bit wet but is drying. So I had a lot of confidence, and it was more tricky to get the pole in EuroNASCAR 2 because all the guys were so fast. So yeah, I pushed everything I had, and yeah, so I made the 2 pole position. So it made me in a good position for the races, and it's the main objective. So yeah, 10% of the job is done, and yeah, 40% is to this race in EuroNASCAR 2 and the 40 other for tomorrow in EuroNASCAR 2, because we of course played for the championship. I'm there for the championship, so yeah, I'm happy, but I have to stay calm, keep the down, and we will see.
I have one question regarding the setup. When we started qualifying, I had to put my winter jacket on. It was so cold out here. Right now, I really want to get rid of this jacket as well because it's getting hotter and hotter. So does that mean you have to change the car now to the conditions on the track later on when it's hotter?
Yes, a lot. And it was that cold that we saw that the slick tire weren't able to heating up. So that's why at the Pro I start with the wet tire. Yeah, in 2 turns I understood that it wasn't a good choice, and yeah, so you have to really look at the track where the parts are dry or not, and yeah, you have to put a bit more of steering to get more heat in the tire. So yeah, it's a different style of driving, and yeah, the car gives me the confidence to do so.
All right, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Paul Giffro. And yeah, we have 2 races coming up here today from Circuit Zolder with all seasons, winter, autumn, spring and summer in one day. It's amazing here, Adam.
Have any studded tyres in case it snows? We'll have to see. Andre, thank you so much. Paul Giffro, so thank you so much as well. Great to see both of them chatting away, and great to see Paul Giffro getting 2 pole positions. He starts this weekend just about as well as he possibly could. We'll go racing in EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2 in just a few moments. And what a parting shot. Our pole sitter in both classes is Paul Giffro. Make sure you join us, though, in just a couple of hours when we go racing once again. For the 9th time this season, for the first time on finals weekend, it will be EuroNASCAR Pro, 13:25 European time. for round 9 of the season. Who will have the championship lead in both categories at the conclusion of Saturday? Tune in later on